Okay, this topic is called transporting plants, and here's the first two objectives. But before we look at those, we're just going to have a look at the structure of a plant. Now, here's a little picture here. The shoot system is anything that is above the ground, and it's made of different things. You've got the stem here, which has buds on it. Now, from a bud, you can grow different things like leaves, flowers, or branches. You've got two different types of buds. You've got the buds here, which are lateral, or you've got the terminal bud. Now, the terminal bud is the one at the top, and the lateral ones grow off the stem and they can grow different things. A node is where a bud would be, where a bud would develop into something. An internode would be the distance between two nodes. The last thing is you've got the leaves here, which are used for photosynthesis. Now, what is the point of the stem? Well, these are the functions that it carries out. First of all, it carries water and minerals to leaves and food from the leaves. So it takes water from the roots to the leaves and takes food that's made in the leaves to the rest of the plant structure. It also spaces out the leaves, so you can see here they're all spaced out in different areas to maximize the amount of light energy received from photosynthesis. It provides stability for the plant because it's a strong structure, it's made out of strong tissues, and again it holds the leaves in the best place for photosynthesis. The roots form from the stem, and these are used to anchor the plant in the soil. Another thing that you have to talk about, and I don't know really if it comes much on the spec, but I'll go into it anyway, are the different types of roots. Now, one root is a tap root system where you have a root that grows vertically downwards with other lateral roots growing from it. Which is something like this. This is a taproot system. You can see it here. Lateral roots growing from one main root system. Just like this one here. One main root and then lateral roots growing from it. A fibrous root is no main root but several roots growing downwards, and you can see that depicted here. And adventitious roots are similar to fibrous roots, but the roots grow directly from the stem. Okay, so the first objective is to state the structure and function of the xylem and phloem. So first of all, let's look at the locations of the xylem and the phloem. The xylem and the phloem are involved in transporting different things around the plant. They're tissues. In the leaves, the xylem and phloem, which are also called vascular bundles, are found in the midrib and veins. And just to show you what I mean by that, this thing here is a midrib, and off the midribs will come little tiny veins through the tissue. So that's where the vascular bundles would be found. In a stem, the vascular bundles are towards the edge of the stem, and there's a picture here of a stem. This is a stem tissue, and the vascular bundles are here towards the outside of the stem. They're not on the inside, they're on the outside. In the roots, the vascular bundles are nearer the center. You can see here on this picture how the vascular bundles go from the center of the root here, this structure, to the outside of the stem here, and then they would go into the leaf stalks and then enter the midrib of the leaf and then break off and form veins here. This is a really good picture to show how that is. Just one more thing before we look at the structure and function of the xylem and phloem vessels. Just have a look at the structure of the stem. Now, the stem is made up of the epidermis, which is the outer layer, which keeps the shape of the stem. It's impermeable to water, so it stops water loss, but it does allow gases to move in and out. The vascular bundles, again, these are the xylem and the phloem. They're found in the roots, the stem, the leaf stalk, and the veins. They allow movement of water if it's the xylem and minerals, and food like amino acids and glucose if it's the phloem. Now, the cortex and pith. These different tissues are found here. This is the pith, this stuff in the middle, and this is the cortex on the outside. The job of the cortex and pith are basically support, but the ones on the outside near the edge can sometimes photosynthesize and store starch as well, but not the inside. These are too far in the middle, away from the sunlight, so these are just mainly used for support. So you've got the vascular bundles here, which here is made of the xylem on the inside and the phloem on the outside of this big vascular bundle. you've got the inside pith, you've got the cortex, and then the epidermis on the outside. Another thing to note while we're here is that these have been cut in different ways. A transverse cut of an object is something across. So the way this has been sliced across here is a transverse cut, and we can see all the different structures it's made of. However, down the side here there's a longitudinal cut here, and you can look at the different structures in a different way. Again here, this is a longitudinal cut here, as you can see here, and then this is a transverse cut across the top. So now let's talk about the structure of the xylem and phloem, and let's link that to its function. So the xylem vessel transports water and minerals from the roots to the leaves for photosynthesis. To do this, they've got certain adaptations. Firstly, their cells are elongated. Their cells also don't have end walls, so it just forms a long tube. If you look here, here's a cell, and it's got walls at either end. Yeah, this one they don't have walls. They're elongated and they form tubes, and it means that water can flow freely through them. Another thing that might stop water to travel through some of these cells is their cytoplasm. So the xylem cells don't have a cytoplasm. The cells are normally called dead. They're called dead cells. They don't have a cytoplasm. It's also got a chemical called lignin in their walls, which helps support them and make them impermeable to water loss, so they maintain their water and don't lose any. And they've also got fibres in here to help strengthen them, which are also elongated, as the cells are. Over here, towards the edge of the stem, you have the phloem. Now the phloem is also called the sieve tube. Differences are they're alive, the cells, they have a cytoplasm, and they have end walls, you can see here, but the end walls are perforated. They're holes in, and they're normally called the sieve plates, and they're here and here and here. And these guys are going to transport glucose and amino acids from the leaves to the rest of the plant. This whole structure here is the vascular bundles, and the xylem and phloem make that up. The epidermis, the cortex, the pith, you can see the vascular bundles here made up of the phloem, and the xylem. So we've covered the function of the vascular bundles, the xylem and the phloem. Let's look at how they function in terms of support. So because the vessels fill with water, they're quite strong. They've got fibres in them, which make them strong, and they've got lignified cells, which make them strong. They've got fixed cell walls, and the stem's also got a cortex and pith, which strengthen the stem. So the vascular bundles function to not only transport things, but they also function to provide support for the plant. In the stems, the vascular bundles are arranged like cylinders near the epidermis, near the edge. And so if it's windy, these guys, because they're near the edge, are going to provide support from the plant bending. As the vascular bundles come towards the center of the roots, this is going to provide support for when the plant is tugged on, and it enables the root to have more support from the pulling forces of the plant being tugged from above the soil level. And lastly, the vascular bundles in the midrib and veins here, they also provide support for the leaf, because there's many veins all in this area, and if they weren't there, full of water, the leaf would be a very floppy structure, because remember that water is the thing that provides turgidity and support for a plant. So the vascular bundles transport stuff and also provide support.